Hi guys. Today we're gonna translate one article by one um, famous Russian alternative research writer. So his name is Chansky. He's like was living in Sakhalin, something like this. So, and that village called Kadykchanskaya. So he's like Kadykchansky. It means like New York's or Detroit's, something like this, right? Okay, so what he was writing, Russia, the unknown civilization. Everything that we mark as an unordinary attracts our attention sooner or later. Even if it's an ordinary thing, for quite an ordinary thing, it also does attract our attention. For example, today we don't mark, we don't recognize, we don't look at the manual meat chopper, meat processor, and everything around. Stare at this meat chopper, manual meat chopper, and it looks like it's out of order on this modern kitchen. Although this object, this device is well known for you, and the older generation remember it with these warm feelings about the happy past. And but it's not even very important. The important thing is to understand the psychological side of this phenomenon. Every ordinary device is gonna look like a sensation for those who see it the first time, and the opposite. Every unordinary device will bring no interest at all if it's always in the plain sight, right? One of the best examples of this phenomena we can state with the high probability would be the airfield of Yundum in Gambia, in Africa. It's not even a first decade that the scientists fighting for the solving of this mystery of appearance of this airfield, because nobody was building it. The modern construction workers just laid some asphalt on airfield. It was built with the stone platforms, and no one doesn't even know where those platforms came from, and it's still the mystery. A few people know that this some type of this object similar to that object is in Russia. It's on Chukotka Peninsula, and it's the airfield of Capernaum, and it was not built from the scratch just like that African one. It was just rebuilt as an airfield, but was existent in the tundra long before the modern human personnel came there. So, but originally it was just two of them, straight parallel airfields, and one of them is just completely grown with these plants and stuff and trees and grass, and one is just was made to be used as an airfield for airplanes and helicopters. These are the objects that do not fit in the ordinary mentality of our world, and that's why the mainstream doesn't even talk about it. And we have the mass of those that we see every day, and our head does not comprehend why are they so unordinary. And these strange things are all around us, and the hints are just in front of our nose, but we don't see them. My father used to tell me about the 40s of the 20th century, when they used the cars like this, and they called them as gas generating engines. So they had a gas generating engines, and they were riding from Pichor to Pskov on this truck, right? This is gas AA 1939 with the gas generating device. But we have to understand what gas generator is, and why it was so widely applied in automatic transportation, automobile transportation in not so long ago. So the gas generator is the vehicle which has the internal combustion engine, but it doesn't have the fuel in ordinary way. It gets the fuel from the mixture of the gases which were produced by the gas generator. So you can use wood, coal, even some oils and all this crap from the swamps, right? So Democrats, liberals are just fine for this engine, and many more of those who are the bureaucrats in Washington D.C. Okay, so the principle of the generator is based on non-full burning of the carbon. Carbon, while burning, can be added to with one atom of oxygen, or it can be transferred to monoxide, carbon monoxide, or carbon dioxide. And with the full burning of carbon, we can lose like 1/3 of this energy while burning, right? So the gas that was produced by this generator has a lot more less temperature than the fuel itself, right? So the gas generator can gasify the wood and the coil with the adding of water, in fact with the steam phase of the water, and it gets the exothermal reaction between the monoxide of the carbon and water with the creation of the hydrogen and the carbon dioxide. So this reaction lowers the temperature of the achieved gas and gas mixture, and exceeds the power of the process to the 75 or 80%, and before that there would be like 30%, right? 33%. So in the case that we have no used to the cool the gas, so this power exceeds even to 100%. So this is practically the double stage full burning of the fuel, right? Double stage full burning, right? So it's like very, very good engines in the efficiency, right? 100%. So returning to the travel, so that their car was traveling from the Pichor to Pskov, so, and they were riding like a very long road, right? So that time that road A212 was right now it's E77 Pskov Riga. It was really existing in its modern way, but the covering was not the asphalt and concrete, it was from the stones, from the rocks. And it's really very amazing, but it's a fact. But because even being a teenager, he was very, very shaken by these obstacles that he saw, all these facts, right? So it was like unimaginable to create the manual road from the rocks manually, as long as 200 miles, right? So you just don't understand how it's looking. It's very hard to do that, at least for 200 miles, right? But this is not it, because all the roads crossing this road were also the same. And but this doesn't match the facts that we see on the pictures of 19th century. On those pictures we see, like, a bunch of peasants dressed or even undressed and you know don't have any shoes, right? They ride in those devices made of wood, and they like completely in the mud. Everywhere is the mud. Where's the cars? Nothing. So why do we have to do this network of the highways at that time if you don't have any cars, right? So I don't know if that's really efficient way to spend the money. And so he's like, this is the road, and you can see this a whole bunch of network of the same type of roads everywhere in that place. And even though they had to build all those roads since the Crimean War, which was in the 60s, right? So they built all those networks of the roads in 20 years, 25 years, right? So but this is not just the problem, because they had to build the railways at the same time. So it's not like everybody was building the roads, highways. It was just, splitting the people. Some were building the railroads, some were building the highways for the cars, but they didn't have any cars, they didn't have any railroad transportation in the numbers they needed to make it efficient spending of the money, spending of the budget. I don't think so that they had any in the official mainstream theories, right? So I'm very skeptical about it. What was the actually the reason? Somebody says that they just excavated the roads, and this is what we see in the modern pictures, because they dug the trench and they saw the ancient railroad, which they date to 1890s. But I doubt this date, because if it's buried like this, it's supposed to be like 1790s, something like this, right? So 17th century, maybe 18th century, according to the official science, that they say that 2 meters of depth gives us 200 years, right? So this is like 1.3, so it's like 130, so it's 1870. So why couldn't be 1860, 1850, 1840? So think about it. Because they give us 1 centimeter a year of the natural growing of the cultural layer. So if this is all cultural layer, so it could be growing like in 130 years, right? So this railroad was not only abandoned completely, but it got on the thin layer of the mud. And this is impossible in the modern world, because when we have railways that are not used, they often get recycled. They often get used for some other purposes, even the private purposes, because people steal those railroads if they are abandoned. But this is not what we see on this picture of 1890s, also of the previous 19th century. And we see the people excavating the railroads. So probably what they did at that time, they were not building those highways, not building those railroads. They were just excavating. This is what they done. They excavated and restored the previous roads, the previous network So this is what we see. This is the actual plan of the road, of the this stone road. So you have to, you know, be very smart to do it very good, so it can last for like more than 100 years, and it's completely straight. So we have like completely straight areas of the road, just like we have in Russian forest, when we have like 30-40 kilometers straight lines, or even more. Sometimes it's up to 100 kilometers completely straight lines. You just have to understand that the landscape has many obstacles on its way, so you cannot be like building completely straight lines, but they did. And this is what not very hard for them, as you can see. Every network of the roads of the 19th century looked pretty straight, at least for some, you know, distances, which we cannot, you know, perform today. We cannot perform completely straight because, you know, we maneuver towards the obstacles, and, you know, skip the hills, sometimes skip the trenches, creeks, and all this stuff, you know. So it's not completely straight today, and if you ride the roads, you understand what I'm talking about. Well, sometimes we do have when it's valleys and stuff like this, but when it's not a valley, you cannot, you know, perform completely straight lines, at least without no machinery. And the mainstream science says that there were no machinery at that time, so it was completely manual job. And look at the roads, right? At least at those that are left. Look at the airfields that I'm talking about. They're completely straight. And those roads on the Kola Peninsula, from nowhere to nowhere, still available. So we have to, like, you know, think this over. So probably if they were able to create the Isakivsky castle or Isakivsky cathedral, which is completely amazing and astonishing, can be performed at this period of time. If they could create the network of the highways and railroads in 20 years, think about the technological level. And this is all after almost total extermination of the personnel, of the engineering staff, all the workers in the cities, and completely with the bare hands of those who were brought from the villages, from the rural areas that didn't, you know, get buried. And maybe in a couple of weeks I'll finally finish the map thing, because I found a couple of maps of the soil in Russia, and it would be good for me to, you know, correlate all these maps towards the places that have the evidence of the mud floods. Okay, so thanks a lot for watching. I hope you liked it. See you later. Bye.